Local, live, late-breaking. WESH 2 News starts now.
Breaking now at 11, the gun battle in the woods.
It was a scary moment when my SWAT team is literally 7 yards from this guy and they couldn't see him.
An hours-long manhunt for the man suspected of shooting a Eustis police officer comes to an end.
He failed to comply with the SWAT team's commands and gunfire was exchanged.
Tonight, that suspect is dead. The injured officer shot in the neck, but expects to make a full recovery.
He's doing very, very well. We're very, very pleased. Another millimeter or so in another direction, and it could have been a lot worse.
Our team coverage begins right now. WESH 2's Kelsey Thorne is in Eustis, where the first shots were fired. We begin with Chris Guardaro live near Umatilla, where that suspect was killed in the woods.
And Chris, the chief says more than 500 officers were involved in this manhunt. So go ahead and kind of walk us through how this all played out.
Well, guys, we're on the side of County Road 450 near Umatilla in the small town of Altoona. On the other side of this roadway here is a junkyard where investigators say the search for Colvin started tonight. But about 30 minutes ago, our cameras were rolling as a tow truck took the SUV that we believe belonged to Colvin that was lodged into this property. The junkyard owner says that Colvin drove an SUV from the shooting scene through a fence on his property and into a tree before running away on foot to the nearby woods. The SWAT team, sheriff's helicopter, and dozens of Lake County deputies swarmed into an area south of the small town of Altoona Thursday afternoon. A manhunt for Jason Colvin turned into a gunfight that night.
It got hairy.
Colvin is accused of shooting a Eustis police captain just after noon. Deputies say the search started with a witness seeing Colvin take off north in a dark SUV and end up in this junkyard on County Road 450 near Altoona. The sheriff's office says the armed suspect ditched his car at the junkyard and started running into the woods nearby. A few hours later, deputies made a giant circle around a large area of woods, lakes, and a few homes near State Road 19, where they believe Colvin was hiding. They moved in slowly and cautiously as the sun went down. Using a camera in the dark, a Marion County helicopter spotted the wanted man just before 7.
Hiding under a canoe along the shoreline of a small lake. The pilot was able to confirm that it was definitely a person that was underneath this canoe.
The sheriff says the pilot led the SWAT deputies through the pitch black woods. When deputies got close, Colvin reportedly jumped up and ran away. The pilot told deputies he appeared to be carrying a gun.
The pilot was having to give my SWAT team element play-by-play up to the point that they were about 7 to 10 yards from him, and they still could not see him.
Very close but out of sight, Sheriff Grinnell says Colvin and the deputies exchanged gunfire. The accused shooter was killed. No deputies were injured. The sheriff says multiple of his deputies opened fire. Each of them is going to be placed on administrative leave, as is their policy. Investigators are now working on finding out who fired first and exactly how this gun battle happened. We're live here in Lake County. Chris Guardaro, WESH 2 News.
Now to Orange County, where Captain Gary Winheim is recovering tonight at Orlando Regional Medical Center. He was flown here shortly after 12:15 this afternoon. Investigators say he was shot in the neck and the bullet lodged in his back. Tomorrow, we're told doctors will assess whether it's safe to remove that bullet. Regardless, Captain Winheim's colleagues say he's in good spirits and is expected to make a full recovery. Let's back up to the beginning. Reports of gunshots at a gas station near a busy local shopping center.
Yeah, the same gas station that police say the suspect had robbed just days earlier. It's in Eustis on State Road 19 near County Road 44. That's where WESH 2's Kelsey Thorne is live tonight. Kelsey?
Well, as you guys just said, this Shell gas station here behind me is where Eustis police say this all began. This is where they say Jason Colvin started firing a gun and where Captain Winheim overheard those shots and came over to investigate.
Eustis police say this all began just after noon Thursday when Captain Gary Winheim heard gunshots coming from the area near the Shell gas station off State Road 19.
So he started to go over that direction to that parking lot, called dispatch and said, has there been any reports of an armed robbery? Because I just heard some gunshots. As he was going to pull into the parking lot, the suspect was pulling out at a very, very high rate of speed.
Police say Captain Winheim then started following the suspect in his unmarked truck when the car suddenly pulled over.
The captain pulled way back behind him to see what was going on, and he just immediately jumped out and started firing.
The chief says Jason Colvin shot Captain Winheim in the neck.
From his injuries, he actually got hit in the ear, and that went down into his neck, and apparently a bullet lodged in his back.
Investigators are trying to figure out why Colvin was at that gas station to begin with. They believe he robbed the same location just 2 days prior, caught on surveillance cameras wearing a Friday the 13th mask before making off with cash and the store clerk's car. After Thursday's exchange of gunfire, Captain Winheim was life-flighted to ORMC, where police say he's expected to make a full recovery.
He's in very good spirits, and his main concern was nobody else got hurt today.
Now, the police chief says that throughout the day today, he's been contacted by law enforcement agencies from across the state showing their support. The chief says, though, he's just happy that nobody else was seriously injured. For now, live in Lake County, I'm Kelsey Thorud, WESH 2 News.
And Captain Winheim has served with the Eustis Police Department for more than 20 years. And this is not the first time he's found himself in a dangerous situation. In 2014, when Winheim served as a sergeant, he shot and killed a child pornography suspect who threatened him with a gun. And then in June of 2018, he was one of 3 officers who opened fire on an armed man outside of an auto parts store. That suspect was killed. Right now, he's currently captain of criminal investigations and again expected to make a full recovery.
Meantime, we have discovered the now deceased suspect in today's shooting has a very violent past. Online records show Jason Colvin has served 3 full terms in state prison since 2001. He's been convicted on charges of armed burglary, robbery, fleeing and eluding a law enforcement officer, and kidnapping. We're committed to bringing you the very latest developments in this investigation. We've been on the air with live updates since the 1 o'clock hour, and we'll continue to bring you any new information on air and on WESH.com. Catch any overnight developments on WESH 2 News Sunrise tomorrow morning. Turning now to Commitment 2020, where Democratic presidential candidates took the stage for the final debate this year.
NBC's Gina Kim has the highlights from Los Angeles.
Dang. As the debate kicked off in Los Angeles, the Democratic presidential candidates wasted no time diving into yesterday's vote to impeach the president.
We have a president who is a pathological liar.
No matter what happens in the Senate, it is up to us in 2020. This is our chance to refuse to be taken in by the helplessness, to refuse and reject the cynicism.
The non-politicians on stage, businessmen Andrew Yang and Tom Steyer, advocated turning the attention away from attacking the president to attacking problems.
We have to stop being obsessed over impeachment, which unfortunately strikes many Americans like a ball game where you know what the score is going to be, and start actually digging in and solving the problems that got Donald Trump elected in the first place.
The questions came fast and furious, covering trade, the environment, taxes, the economy.
We're not growing. The wealthy, very wealthy are growing.
With less than 2 months left before the first primary elections, these presidential hopefuls are under more pressure than ever to differentiate themselves from the still crowded field.
Former Vice President Joe Biden's goal is to hold on to his lead in the polls with his performance tonight. Steyer, Yang, and Klobuchar, meanwhile, hope that they stood out enough with their voters to guarantee a spot in the next debate. In Los Angeles, Gina Kim, NBC News.
Today, President Donald Trump spoke with reporters at the Oval Office, addressing his impeachment for the first time since last night's historic vote.
Well, I don't feel like I'm being impeached because it's a hoax, it's a setup, it's a horrible thing they did. They cheapened the word impeachment. That should never again happen to another president. And I think you'll see some very interesting things happen over the coming few days and weeks.
President Trump is the 3rd president in U.S. history to be impeached. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has not committed yet to sending the articles of impeachment to the Senate. She also has not named impeachment managers to make the case against President Trump during Senate proceedings.
A warning tonight if you've recently shopped at Wawa. The convenience store chain says a data breach may have impacted thousands of customers at all of its locations. So here's the deal. Wawa discovered malware on its payment processing servers last week. It believes that credit card numbers, customer names, and other data might have been compromised starting as early as March 4th. Wawa is now notifying customers and offering free credit card monitoring to those impacted.
A DeLand man is in jail charged with abusing 2 young girls. Gabriel Vertiz was arrested today at a construction site where he was working in Hillsborough County. In both cases, investigators say he used tape to restrain the girls. In one of the cases, he's also charged with sexual abuse. Investigators say Vertiz will not be allowed bail.
One person was killed, another hurt today after a fire. The flames spread through a bedroom in a home on 19th Avenue at the Arbors in Ocala. When firefighters got to the scene, they found a burn victim outside the home who was rushed to the hospital. Another person was trapped inside and died. The state fire marshal's office is now investigating the cause.
Deputies have made a 4th arrest at a local shooting. Jeremy Smith is charged with attempted first-degree murder and home invasion. 3 other people were arrested earlier this month and face the same charges. Deputies say the 4 robbed a home on Barksdale Drive near Goldenrod Road in Orange County. But during the home invasion, several shots were fired and 2 people were wounded. One of the victims is expected to be okay. The other is in critical condition. Still ahead, why customers of one local utility company could see changes coming to their bills.
But first, we are gearing up for tomorrow's historic launch on the Space Coast. At 6:36 tomorrow morning, Boeing will send its Starliner into space. And our special report will explain why this mission could be a game changer in the space race. Tony?
We'll have the latest forecast for that, and we're watching a developing storm system now out to our west in the Texas Panhandle. That will march our way just in time for your weekend plans. The timing and what to expect, all straight ahead.
We are hours away from the first space flight of a Brevard County-built spaceship called the Boeing Starliner.
Quest News' Dan Billow takes a look at the ship's costs, delays, and why it is so revolutionary.
Inside the Boeing Starliner, astronaut Chris Ferguson is getting comfortable.
So I can reach all this stuff.
Upper right, you can?
Yes. Ferguson helped develop this new spaceship and will be its first commander. Well, that's if you don't count Rosie. Named after the famous World War II riveter, she'll be on board for the first test flight. Launching from Pad 41 at the Cape, an Atlas V rocket is ready to fly the Starliner into orbit for the first time. From there, it docks with the International Space Station. The landing test comes in New Mexico, where Rosie and the Starliner will parachute to a desert touchdown, much as another Starliner did in a non-orbital test last month. At first glance, the Starliner looks like the Apollo ships of the 60s and 70s, built and owned by NASA. How is the Starliner different?
The whole idea with commercial space is that Boeing owns the spacecraft. They own the intellectual property, and they're free to market it or sell it to whomever they want.
That frees up NASA to spend its money on bigger things like going to the moon and Mars. How is that working out? Not well. For starters, the privately owned Starliner is as far behind schedule as a typical NASA project. It was originally envisioned to fly in 2015 or 16. In addition, a NASA Inspector General's report says it's not cheaper than the alternative. The report, out last month, said a Starliner flight will cost taxpayers $90 million, compared to a Russian Soyuz flight at $85 million and a SpaceX Dragon flight at $55 million. Remember, taxpayers still pay for it all because Boeing's only customer is NASA. Boeing says it disagrees with those numbers but won't release numbers of its own. So the Starliner's what we've got, and the experts say it's a big upgrade in safety and capability from older spaceships. A test of its abort system showed astronauts could survive a launch explosion, with the Starliner capsule separating from the rocket and the astronauts parachuting to safety. They could never have made such an escape from the space shuttle.
TM touchdown.
The Starliner rolled out to its launch pad recently amid cheering and fanfare. Having the full setup here at the launch pad, spacecraft and rocket has given the astronauts a chance to come and check out their new ride. Astronaut Sunny Williams tweeted some photos from the pad. Her colleagues will get to fly if the test flight starring Rosie goes as hoped. SpaceX already completed a similar flight with its ship and its dummy in March. Both companies are hoping to fly astronauts in their new privately built ships in early 2020. At the Cape, Dan Billow, WESH 2 News.
Some exciting stuff. The Starliner launch is scheduled for tomorrow morning at 6:36. We, of course, will have live team coverage from the Space Coast on WESH 2 News Sunrise, and you can watch the launch live on WESH 2 or WESH.com.
Launch forecast looking pretty good, though, although I know you have a couple of concerns.
Yeah, I still don't like the winds I'm seeing along the coast. Remember, if you're looking at 15 to 25 miles an hour at the surface, you go up 2, 3, 4, 5,000 feet, the winds get stronger. So we'll have to watch that. For me, tonight, that's my biggest concern. There are a few showers as well that we'll have to watch that are well offshore. We'll show you the radar in a second. Let me take you up north, though. Our cold spot tonight, as it usually is during the wintertime months, is up in Ocala, 51 degrees. And we have, woo, I got so used to going to the Key, you saw me walk right in front of the camera. How about them apples? 51 degrees out there right now. Old habits just don't die. Let me show you what's going on. We have a storm system up towards Texas. That is going to dive southeast into the Gulf of Mexico and then head back our way as we head into Sunday. That's when we think the weather is going to get a bit active. Here locally tonight, though, here's what's going on. We do have some showers down to the south. Closer to home, though, as we take a look at these strong winds, we have that deep easterly flow, and that is what's creating some showers along the coast of Volusia County right now. Few of them in and around Oak Hill, few of them over towards New Smyrna Beach. We head south. A lot of ground clutter with the radar here out of Melbourne, but notice the showers south and northeast of the Cape there. We'll keep an eye on those overnight tonight to see if those will have an impact on that early morning launch. Temperatures along the coast quite a bit warmer than the interior. Low 50s here, mid and upper 60s back towards the coast out there right now. All right, wind speeds looking like this, about 10 to 20 along the coast right now. We'll continue to monitor them for you overnight tonight, along with those showers. Now, when we take a look at futurecasts in this type of setup, more often than not, it's a little bit overdone with the rain, but I do like the fact that there are showers along the coast come daybreak tomorrow morning. That, I think, is definitely going to verify, and some of those showers will work inland throughout the course of the afternoon as we climb up to about 70 to 75 degrees, and some of those showers will work inland from time to time during the course of the late afternoon hours. Not a lot of rain here, but just enough to maybe dampen the ground. In fact, when we take a look at the models here, they do keep the showers along the coast even deep into the night. But the bottom line for me is when you take a look at what we just showed you and you break it down, highest rain chances are going to be along and east of I-95 and then lowering as we head back towards the west. Temperatures tomorrow afternoon, 70 to 75, pretty close to where we should be for this time of the year. And if you are headed to the attractions, don't cancel any plans, but just know there could be a brief shower during the course of the afternoon. Here's our storm system there on Saturday, building and moving eastward. And then as it works eastward, the question becomes, do we get a line of thunderstorms developing along and ahead of that cold front? The European tonight is edging more towards that scenario, as is the American GFS model. However, with the Euro, heaviest rainfall is up north, but with the American GFS model, still flip-flopping here. We have a potential for some significant rainfall, so keep checking back in for updates on that. One last look now at the forecast for Monday and Tuesday on into Wednesday. Breezy, but for Christmas Day, looking pretty good. Temperatures by then will be running in the mid-70s. So let's break it down. Winter arrives on Saturday. Storms could be here on Sunday by the middle of next week for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Not bad, guys. Temps then in the mid-70s.
Tony, thanks. After nearly a year of detours, tonight a stretch of A1A in Flagler Beach is open for both north and southbound traffic.
City Manager Larry Newsom shared this picture of himself standing in the road, excited for local merchants and residents. Hurricane Matthew washed out a significant portion of the road back in 2016. The Department of Transportation began permanent repairs on the mile-and-a-half stretch back in February. Now, workers still have to add a top layer of asphalt, which may yet cause intermittent detours and delays. Good news for FPL customers. Starting next month, the utility company will lower typically monthly residential bills nearly $4. The company says it will not add a surcharge to bills to pay for Hurricane Dorian restoration. Hurricane costs typically result in an extra charge on customer bills. In August, FPL mobilized thousands of workers from across the country as a Category 5 hurricane threatened millions of Floridians.
Pat Williams is a guy who gets stuff done in Central Florida, and he just will not let go of this.
Absolutely not. If anybody can do this, it is Pat. We get an update from him on his dream of big league baseball in Orlando a month after he announced that. Plus, the Knights are in Tampa, and they're ready to bowl. What they'll be focusing on Monday against Marshall. That's next in sports.
Now, West 2 Sports, sponsored by Mullinax Ford.
Hello, everybody. I'm Darren Stoltz. The UCF Knights arrived in Tampa today, getting set for Monday's showdown against Marshall. And no question, the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl isn't where this team wanted their season to end, but that's where they are. And they're a 17-point favorite, so they're in great position to at least win 10 games for the third straight season. That'd be a first in school history. Josh Heupel's hoping his guys enjoy that opportunity and appreciate what they're still playing for Monday.
It's important that our guys have a fun experience, right? This is a reward for everything that they've done throughout the course of the season, the opportunity to enjoy each other and enjoy being together one more time. Enjoy the unique experiences that you have during the course of bowl week. At the same time, when it's time to go into meetings, it's time to get to practice, your attention and focus has to be solely on that.
They're very good. They know how to prepare for this. They know how to travel. That's something that's big in bowl games. They're looked at as an underdog, but for the past couple years we were too. So we can't overlook them. We have to be able to come out and prepare and play just like we're about to play anybody else.
This could be an underdog story. It's been 1 month since Pat Williams announced his intentions of bringing big league baseball to Orlando. Today, an update. In the last month, more than 10,000 people have requested season ticket information from OrlandoDreamers.com. Pat's taking that for a solid start, and while an expansion team would still work, he's also eyeing a potential franchise in St. Pete that could just move to Central Florida.
I'm glad Orlando's getting on this because they probably are the best city in the country to go to. It gives baseball a much better option. Or, in moving a franchise, they could immediately move here. That's why the Rays would only have to move about, what, 80 miles? Makes sense to me.
Well, if anybody could pull it off, it's Pat. He did bring us the magic. They were off today. They dropped 2 games in 2 days. The Nuggets used a 24-0 run last night to turn a Magic lead into a Magic deficit. Tomorrow night, they'll wrap up their road trip in Portland, where Steve Clifford says it's not about his team giving more effort. It's just about finishing more plays.
We got to make more shots. We got to finish more plays. I mean, the same thing happened last night. You got makeable shots, probably have better players or anybody.
More hoops. Memphis plays at UCF in 10 days, but when they do, they won't have James Wiseman with them. Wiseman withdrawing from the school today in the middle of his freshman year and in the middle of a suspension. He says he'll hire an agent and focus on the NBA draft, where he is projected to be a top 5 pick. That's it for sports. The news continues after this.
Today, 2 very deserving veterans received an amazing gift just in time for the holidays. Geico and the Orlando Supercenter teamed up to give them each a car. Francis Day was nominated by the Orlando VA Medical Center, and Private First Class Zachary Clark was nominated to receive his recycled ride by the Florida National Guard. They're both primary providers for their families and are both grateful to have been chosen.
It's a great feeling knowing that they were thinking of me when they thought of this promotion.
For companies like this to give me or any veteran this, it's right. I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's right.
This was all part of the National Auto Body Council's Recycled Rides program, which aims to help people in need.
Well deserved.
Not sure if you know this, but a member of the West 2 Sunrise crew is a veteran. Adrian Whitsett, the tall, handsome fellow with the movie star smile, served honorably in the U.S. Marine Corps. He and the entire Sunrise crew roll out weekday mornings at 4:30 a.m. And you can get West 2 News whenever you want at WESH.com or the West 2 News mobile app.
Thanks for watching. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow night. See you then.